All right, thank you for staying with us. We have our tech discussion this morning, and we're discussing bridging the gap between employees and job seekers in the creative industry. Olamide Adeyeye of Jobberman is here. It is great to have you, Olamide. You're welcome.
Definitely a pleasure. Thank you
so
much for having me.
So when I think about that topic, I'm expecting it to be a much elderly person who, because you've gone and man, there's something wrong with our country now, our nation now. You know what? It's refreshing having to see that we younger people are taking up the reins and actually doing something to make our country better. Now, first of all, there is a gap, as it were, between what employers seek and people who are seeking for employment. Why is it that there is a gap like that?
So the gap that exists, and thank you so much, for having me. Talking about me being a young person is something that I am learning to, appreciate as well as first an opportunity, right? Because I think there's this quote that says that there's no meaningful development in any country without the participation of young people, right? Africa and even Nigeria at the point, our median age as a country is about 16.9. So it means that majority of us are actually very young. And so if we would have, programs and initiatives that are designed with young people at the core, it definitely means that young people have to be involved. And I'm glad to be, one of those voices, just shaping opportunities for young people on the continent and in the country specifically. But to your question, you see, the world of work has changed, is changing, and will change, right? The world of work before COVID, before 2020, is significantly different from the world of work post-COVID.
Post-COVID.
And with the recent surge of AI and, LLMs into the business space.
What's an LLM?
Large learning models, large language models. Yeah. Basically, and all of those things basically are shifting the way work is conceived and how work is delivered.
Okay.
So it's all, and this is also reflective of even the generations. So generations are also changing. I think at the point we used to talk about Gen Zs. Now I think the conversation is about Gen Alphas. And maybe we'll eventually get to Gen Betas and all of that, right? So now the expectations, the aspirations of this population segment is significantly changing. So for example, my parents probably would be very comfortable with, I want to shop for, food items, and then I want to go to the market. I can wait for 1 week, have people send it maybe from the village, there is that luxury of time. Now there is a lot of urgency. Right? And that in itself is informing customer behavior, is informing what value is, informing what utility is, and obviously also shaping the way the workspace and the work culture is. Because for you to maintain relevance, you must deliver value to your customers. That's the core of it. So what is shifting the world of work, while all of these technologies and all of that are shaping it, global dynamics and all of that, it's also the reality that we as human beings are changing. And so because we are changing, there is a need for, skills. Now, why do the gap exist? It's because sometimes, or in many instances, the change is happening faster, or is happening at a faster rate than we are catching up with it, right? So part of what we're even learning, for example, with even employers is some employers are struggling to even manage Gen Zs, right? The personality, the way they show up, the way they engage, the audacity, right? And all of that, with the creative ecosystem where there's also a lot of self-expression, right? Some 10 years ago, if you are dressed like this to a news station, you definitely probably considered unprofessional in that sense. But that has changed, that has significantly morphed. And so all of these things are really shaping the way the world of work is going. And I think a critical part of it as well is globalization. So the internet, technology, it's a global village. And so I am here today, I'm having meetings across, time zones, having meetings across regions, and all of that is, calling for a significant shift in the ecosystem. So what that is leading to is people are not catching up to it, particularly when you think about our educational system, right? Our educational system is supposed to be that preparatory ground for young people to be able to contribute meaningfully in the world of work or in the labor market. But if the curriculum, the design of such educational materials and even pedagogy, which is the means of, delivering that information, is still archaic, is still meeting the needs of maybe the 18th century, then obviously whoever is going through that system is ill prepared to deliver value at the pace that is expected in this current
world. Which is where you come in, which job.
Absolutely.
Let's rush very fast now. Now you held the fair, and you got people to talk. You got employers. You got, we'll see some clips of that. You got employers. You got job seekers. You put them together in this space.
Absolutely.
Why is it that? Why did you do that? Why did that have to happen in that kind of way?
Well, yeah, it had to happen because, you see, one big issue around opportunities for young people is that there is a problem of visibility. You see, I personally believe that usually it is not the best person possible that gets the opportunity. It's usually the person who sees it and the best among those who see it that get the opportunity. So what we've learned in our work is, and just providing a bit of a context. So in 2020, we went into a partnership with the MasterCard Foundation, right? And the goal of that was to say, with this gap, with this knowledge gap, with this skill gap, how do we significantly upskill young people to be able to compete and be relevant in today's world of work? And so we had an ambitious goal, to upskill 5 million young people across Nigeria, to support 3 million of them to get into work. And over the years, we've been able to achieve that very significantly, and we are on that journey, till 2019. But a critical part of the phase 2 of that program, for example, was to drive inclusion. Because you see, sometimes we judge every other person by our own realities, right? We are here now, we have some level of exposure, but there are people in marginalized contexts. There are people who we say they are off the tarmac. There are people who all they have access to, for example, is radio. They don't have smartphones and all of that. And so sometimes, many times you see that interventions favor people like us and could many times exclude those kind of people. These people also include, persons with disability, internally displaced persons across even rural communities, in Nigeria. So what we did in Lagos was a culmination of something we had started from the beginning of the year. We've had fairs in Kaduna, we've had fairs in Kano, we've had fairs in Adamawa, we've had fairs in Enugu. And we're like, Lagos is the economic capital, the economic city, and we had the one in Lagos. So it was very crucial. It was very important because it we're seeing that many times people send their CVs, don't get feedback. They don't know what's wrong. They don't know why.
And some employers don't actually say this is the reason why. To
be fair, I know that definitely employers should do better, please. Employers do better. But you see, the challenge sometimes is you want to fulfill just maybe 2 roles. Yeah. You have 10,000 people apply. It's very difficult to provide personalized feedback to everybody who applied. So, but bringing people into a physical space can provide that opportunity for real-time feedback, for real-time learning, for real-time adjustment. And the fair did not just happen with Interact. It also came with a lot of learning opportunity, networking opportunity. And one of the critical things we also opened up with the fair is recognizing that waged employment, which is like getting a job, getting a salary employment, is not the only pathway. Many of us as Africans are entrepreneurial, right? Business, people are starting businesses every day. And then the question is, how do we provide an opportunity for small businesses to exhibit, their products? One of the very amazing stories that I heard was, of a young lady who, again, just started a small business and was like, let me come and sell. We had over 1,600 young people come into the room. And she literally sent us a message afterwards that she sold out, right? Wow. And that's, the kind of opportunity we are creating and just ensuring. And guess what? They actually exhibited for free. So that's, value to her. That's, I like that part, that for free. That's why we are even talking about it, because, you are offering value and you are not charging for it, so that is quite something. How close are you to your goal? Looking for, let's just wrap up with this, on the horizon, what are you seeing? What do you see? What's that aim? What's that objective? What's that thing that you say, okay, we have gotten there? Where is that? I'll say, what we'll see that I would say we've gotten there is that every, young Nigerian, and by extension, African, have that unhindered access to opportunities that fits their aspirations and helps them to, transition effectively, in terms of their socioeconomic reality. And that's basically, driving increase in prosperity for young people. And I would say that we're still far from it, because when you think about the scale of the problem, you will recognize that upskilling 1 million young people is still a drop in the ocean. Nigeria's population currently has over 140 million young people. So even if we have a target of 5 million young people, you can do a percentage of that. That's still small.
That's still small.
But the benefit of that is that we are consistently scaling, working with partners and, working, for example, with CVC, and all of the support that you provide for us and all of that. Just scaling the work that we're doing. One of the things we are also even planning before the end of the year is also to even do something around the remote workspace, which is something that we see growing and we think is that has the potential to transform.
All right, you know what happens, Olamide? I will get you back. We'll continue this because of time. We have to go now. I love that part of remote workspace.
Absolutely.
Because that's a place that we need to pivot to. And then we do have some challenges in Nigeria because of that. So we'll talk about that more. I'll have you back some other time.
Definitely.
Thank you so much and wishing you the best in all you do.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, that's it. We'll take a time out now. Stay with us. There's still more to come on the show.